You've been grinding for a while, cutting expenses, building habits, making better financial choices. And then something happens. You hit a milestone. Maybe you finally got 3 months of expenses saved. Maybe you paid off a piece of debt. Maybe you made a good investment. Maybe you just realized that your net worth went up for the first time in a long time. And it feels good, really good. This rush of validation, this proof that it's working, that your hard work is paying off. And you want to tell someone, you want to share it, you want people to know that you're doing well. So you post about it, or you tell your friends, or you bring it up in conversation, and you feel good about it. You feel like you've accomplished something, and other people know. But then something strange happens. After you share it, the momentum stops. It's like the wind left your sails. People start asking you questions, or they start asking you for money, or they start judging your success, or they start competing with you. And the thing that felt pure when you were the only one who knew about it now feels complicated. And I spend way too much time thinking about this, about the psychology of success, about why some people build real wealth and others stay stuck, about the role that silence plays in long-term success. Because there's something about moving in silence, about building without broadcasting, that is absolutely critical to actually winning. And once you understand why, you'll see why almost every truly successful person does this. The secret isn't really a secret. It's about protecting your momentum. It's about understanding what happens when you announce your wins too early. And it's about the compound effect of staying quiet while you work. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when you announce your wins. Because on the surface, it feels good. You get validation, people congratulate you, you feel like you've accomplished something. But that validation is dangerous. Because once you get it, once you've been congratulated, once people know about your success, your brain feels like the work is done. The celebration satisfies the same part of your brain that the actual achievement would satisfy. So you feel like you've already won, even though you're just getting started. It's called the goal satisfaction effect. Your brain doesn't distinguish between actually achieving something and getting social validation for achieving something. To your brain, they feel the same. So when you announce your goal and get congratulated, your brain experiences the achievement. The motivation drops. The work stops. This is why so many people announce their goals and then never achieve them. They got the social reward for the goal before they did the work, so they lost the motivation to do the work. And this happens with financial wins, too. You announce that you're going to save money. People think it's great. You feel validated. And then you don't actually save the money because your brain already got the reward. Or you announce that you paid off debt. You get congratulated. You feel accomplished. And then you're more likely to go back to spending because you've already gotten the psychological reward of success. The people who actually build wealth, they don't do this. They don't announce their goals. They don't talk about their wins until the win is so big that it can't be taken away. They stay quiet while they work. And that silence protects their motivation. Because when nobody knows what you're doing, when there's no external validation coming in, you have to keep going for internal reasons. You have to want it badly enough to do it without anyone cheering you on. And that's when real change happens. Here's something darker that happens when you announce your wins, especially to people close to you. They pull you down. There's something called crab mentality. It's based on the behavior of crabs in a bucket. If one crab tries to escape, the other crabs pull it down, not because they're trying to be mean, but because instinctively they're competing for resources. If one crab gets out, that's fewer resources for them. And humans do the same thing, honestly. When you're advancing, when you're winning, when you're doing better than the people around you, they feel threatened. They might not admit it. They might even congratulate you. But subconsciously, they're uncomfortable with it. So they pull you down. Not always obviously, sometimes subtle. A comment about how you're getting too serious about money. A suggestion that you should loosen up and spend. making fun of your goals, trying to involve you in their habits so you fail with them. I knew someone who lost a lot of weight and told all their friends about it, and suddenly they were constantly being invited to eat. Come on, just this once. You're being too strict. You need to live a little. And their friends weren't trying to sabotage them, but they were uncomfortable with the change, and they were unconsciously trying to pull them back to where they were. The same thing happens with money. You tell your friends you're saving, and suddenly you're being pressured to go out, to spend, to participate in the lifestyle you're trying to leave, not because they're trying to sabotage you, but because your success makes them uncomfortable. When you stay silent, you avoid this. You don't give people the ammunition to pull you down. You build in private, and by the time people notice, you're far enough along that they can't pull you back. There's another thing that happens when you announce your wins. People get envious. And envy is a powerful and corrosive emotion. Some people will be happy for you, but a lot of people will be envious. And that envy manifests in different ways. Some people will try to diminish your accomplishment. Oh, that's nice, but... Or they'll try to poke holes in it. Yeah, but your situation is different. Or they'll just start distancing from you because they're uncomfortable. And here's the thing. That envy, that negative energy, it affects you. Not because of superstition or anything woo-woo, but because when people around you are envious, they stop being supportive. They stop celebrating you. They might even sabotage you, consciously or unconsciously. So by announcing your wins, you're inviting that envy into your life. You're creating an environment where people are rooting against you instead of for you. When you stay silent, you avoid this. You keep your wins private until they're so solid that envy can't touch them. You build with people who are genuinely happy for you, not with people who are threatened by your success. And that creates a completely different energy. It creates momentum, because everyone around you is either neutral or genuinely supportive. There's no negative energy pulling against you. Here's what I think is really powerful about moving in silence. It allows the compound effect to work without interruption. When you're building wealth, or building a habit, or building anything, it's compounding. Each small win builds on the last one. Each month of savings builds on the previous month. Each day of the habit builds on the previous day. But when you announce your progress, you interrupt the compound effect. You create a moment where the momentum pauses. You get validation, you lose motivation, and you have to rebuild momentum. It's like bouncing a ball. If you let it bounce repeatedly without interruption, it builds a rhythm and momentum. But if you catch it and throw it again, you interrupt that rhythm. You have to start over. The same thing happens with your progress. Silence allows you to build uninterrupted momentum. You just keep going, day after day, week after week, month after month. And the compound effect works exponentially because there's no interruption. By the time you announce anything, the progress is so substantial that it can't be derailed. You're not asking for validation or permission. You're just reporting facts. I saved $50,000. Not, I'm going to save $50,000. Not, I'm trying to save $50,000. Just facts. And that's a completely different energy. That's undeniable. That's the difference between someone who's building and someone who's talking about building. There's also something about privacy itself that's valuable. When you keep things private, you're protecting them. Nobody knows about your wins, so nobody is trying to use you. Nobody is hitting you up for loans or asking you to fund their idea. Nobody is treating you differently because they think you have money. And that freedom is valuable. You can actually just live your life without your financial success becoming other people's business. I knew someone who got a significant inheritance, and they made the mistake of telling their family.
And suddenly, everyone had needs. Someone needed a down payment for a house. Someone needed help with debt. Someone needed an investment opportunity. And what was supposed to be a blessing turned into a burden. If they'd stayed quiet, if they'd just quietly managed that money, none of that would have happened. They would have peace, privacy, freedom. The same thing happens with other financial wins. You build wealth quietly, and nobody is pressuring you to spend it or give it away. You have the freedom to do what you want with your money without other people's expectations and needs in the way. That freedom is worth more than the validation you get from announcing your success. So you stay quiet, you protect your privacy, you protect your peace. Here's something interesting. The best leverage you have is being underestimated. When nobody knows you're winning, when nobody knows you're building, you have the advantage. People aren't competing with you because they don't know you're trying. You're operating in the background, and by the time people notice, you're already far ahead. And that changes everything, because now you have momentum, you have proof, you have results, and when you finally announce, it's not hopes and dreams, it's facts. And there's something powerful about that. There's something about showing up with results instead of promises, about being so successful that your success can't be denied or diminished. The underdog has all the advantages. The underdog can work without pressure. The underdog can fail and learn without anyone knowing. The underdog can iterate and improve without announcing each step. And once the underdog becomes the winner, once the invisible work becomes undeniable success, nobody can pull them down, because the results speak for themselves. So stay the underdog as long as you can. Stay quiet, stay invisible. Let people underestimate you, and let that work in your favor. So what does it actually look like to move in silence? What does this practically mean? First, you don't announce your goals, you just work. You don't tell people you're saving, you just save. You don't tell people about your investment plan, you just execute it. Second, you measure your progress privately. You track it, you celebrate it in private, but you don't share it. Third, you don't seek validation from other people. You feel the validation from the progress itself, from seeing your savings account grow, from seeing the habit stick, from seeing the results. Fourth, you stay humble in conversation about money. You don't bring it up. You don't correct people when they make assumptions about your wealth. You just stay quiet. Fifth, you only tell people who are genuinely happy for you, and only after the win is so solid that it can't be derailed. And sixth, you accept that people might not notice. That's okay. Your success isn't for them, it's for you. And here's the thing. Once you start doing this, once you start moving in silence, you notice that everything moves faster. The momentum accelerates, the progress compounds, and by the time anyone notices, you're so far ahead that there's nothing they can do to pull you back. I want to mention one exception because it's important, and that's accountability. If you need accountability to follow through, if you're someone who needs to tell other people about your goals to actually do them, then you need some people who know. But choose carefully. Choose people who are genuinely invested in your success. Choose people who aren't going to undermine you. Choose people who are already where you want to be, or who are also trying to get there. And even with those people, keep it limited, keep it private. Don't broadcast it to everyone, just to the people who are actually going to help you. Because most people, even if they say they want to support you, aren't actually going to. They're going to get comfortable with the status quo. They're going to pull you back without meaning to. So be strategic about who you tell. And for most things, for most of your journey, stay silent. The silence is what gives you the power. Here's what I think is the real insight about moving in silence. It's not about being secretive or mysterious.
It's about protecting your momentum and your peace. When you move in silence, you build something real, something substantial, something that can't be taken away or diminished. You build in a way that compounds. You build with integrity. You build without performative energy. And then, by the time you announce, it's not a hope or a dream. It's a reality. It's undeniable. It's a fact of your life. And that changes how people relate to you. Instead of rooting against you or being envious or trying to pull you down, they just accept the reality of your success. They might not like it. They might not be happy for you, but they can't deny it. And more importantly, you know in your heart that you did it. You know that you built it. You didn't get lucky. You didn't get a handout. You worked. You stayed quiet. You moved forward, and you won. That's different. That's the difference between real wealth and performance. And real wealth is what lasts. So here's what I want you to understand. When you start winning, resist the urge to announce it. Resist the urge to get validation. Resist the urge to post about it or tell people. Instead, stay quiet. Keep building. Let the momentum compound. Protect your peace. Protect your progress. Let the envy and the pulling down happen to someone else who announced their business. And keep going, month after month, year after year, until one day you're so far ahead that your success is just obvious, it's undeniable, and by then it's too late for anyone to pull you back. That's when you can mention it. Not to get validation, not to get congratulations, just as a fact, just as part of your story. And you'll notice something interesting. People will ask how you did it, and you can tell them. But by then, you already know the answer. It was the silence. It was the work. It was the refusal to get distracted by external validation. So move in silence when you start winning. Build in private. Celebrate in private. And let your results speak for themselves. That's where real power comes from. That's where real wealth comes from. That's where real success comes from. Stay quiet. Keep going. You've got this. Thank you for letting me share this with you. If this resonated, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And let me know in the comments, are you moving in silence? What are you building that you haven't told anyone about? Thanks for watching.